Good morning, 4x4 Touring Australia viewers. It is an awesome Saturday morning in the South Australian outback, and I thought I'd do a little video touring some of the outback roads with a few little tips. First one being dust. Something to think about. At the moment we're travelling at about 75 k's an hour on our awesome Dobinson's monotube, plain monotubes in the front and the remote adjustable in the rear. I don't think you need the adjustable, but we're cruising along. The road's pretty good at this point, a little bit corrugated here or there. Dust. Something to think about if you're touring the outback. At this point I'm thinking about slowing down or stopping in because I'm seeing the vehicle in front of me, and today we've taken up position as tail end Charlie, right, last vehicle. And obviously, so you could say you're going to cop the most dust, but it's not just about that. You can keep the distance. You need to keep the distance between you to not be sucking in the dust all day. So normal air filter replacement interval on four-wheel drives is usually about every 30,000 k's, and that, you know, includes a little bit of off-road, but not necessarily a lot of off-road, and not conditions like this. You know, a day of this is probably going to suck up more dust than a whole 10,000 kilometre stretch on road. Okay, so on road you're just not going to see, you're not going to see dust, are you? So you really need to think about, the engine needs to breathe. It's bringing a lot of air in through the intake, through the engine, and it's going to fill up the air filter and block it up quite quickly. And it's really important, even staying back like this, you're still going to get some dust. And at the moment we've got no wind, so these are the things you've got to think about. Is there wind, and how much wind is there? Which way is it blowing? And also you can think in the convoy you're in, who's got the better antennas, you know, front, rear, or on the roof, because, you know, you need to maintain communications in the convoy is also important. And probably important to check on the last vehicle every 5 or 10 minutes in case something does go wrong. You want to know about it before they get out of range, because, you know, obviously don't leave us behind. No, that's all good, we'll be right. But yeah, I think we've got enough food for about 2 weeks and water, so it's all good. The other thing to think about, obviously one of the main things, is wildlife. What's going to pop out in front of you? Okay, so, you know, you can have a bull bar or not have a bull bar. There's a lot of big things out here that, regardless of whether you've got a bull bar or not, you trips over if you hit something big. Okay, so bull bar's a piece of steel between you and the big item you're going to hit. It doesn't really give you any extra protection as far as your personal safety. It probably reduces it because the vehicle's designed to crumple down, and it will. Obviously if you hit a small roo or something, that's where it may be an advantage, but by travelling at the right time of the day and keeping your eyes peeled, usually you can see what's going to, you know. So as an example, hopefully during this video we may see some wildlife. So far we had sheep run out in front of us, and travelling at a safe speed with a vehicle correctly loaded, we're able to slow down and or manoeuvre one or the other, not both at the same time, to avoid these things. And we always have been able to do that, which is why on this vehicle we've chosen to not have a bull bar. The vehicles drive a lot better without bull bars. Once you put that big piece of steel on the front, it changes the whole handling. When you mount your antennas on bull bars, if you use them a lot out here in these sorts of conditions, you do break antennas. We've had lots of different brands and types of antennas and brackets, and just about all of them break in the end. You know, it's not the end yet, so I'll say just about because they haven't all, but they will. Either the wire, the internal of the antenna itself, or the spring, or the brackets, or whatever the case may be. And you can drive on the wrong side of the road if you like. Choose. That's the point, looking at the road and avoiding some of those, whether it's potholes, washouts. You've got to keep your eyes peeled. If there's been a lot of rain, there can be a lot of washouts on roads that haven't been repaired yet. There can be rutted sections. there can be rutted sections, a little bit like that on the right there, but it can be a lot worse and all over the track. So if you're traveling at crazy speeds, you may not be able to slow down or avoid those in time. And if you're running on a little bit low pressures and you're heavily loaded, all these things need to be taken into consideration. So we're still only at about 70-75 k's on these roads. Normally I'd be traveling at around 80 to 90 k's. It's straight, it's flat, mostly clear at the sides. So back to the wildlife thing again, you can see here the bushes are sort of, you know, just at that height that, you know, if there was something that's going to be, generally you can see what's going on if you're looking. You know, if you're in a daydream, if you're looking at maps or something else going on in the car, that's where you're at risk. You really need to be focused more than ever on the road, unless you're in conditions where it's just dirt and it's wide open, which, look, you know, some wildlife can blend in pretty well with that as well, especially towards the end of the day when you're tired. So whenever it's bushy and built up at the sides, that's where it's wise to slow down a bit. Hope you're at least just enjoying the view. That's the main thing, you know, a little bit of talk there, a little bit of information, things for you to think about. Maybe I'll just shut up for a little bit. Have you got anything you want to say, Mitch? Anything you want to add into the information? So what have we covered? We've talked about keeping out, look for wildlife, keeping a lookout. There's some ruts, see those ruts there? So you can come across sections of road that are really, and I don't mean wet, even if it's dried, and they can, you know, pull you in all sorts of directions. You need to be careful of that. So you can have a washout at any point. You know, you need to be ready to slow down or change direction. And there, on that note, notice I said before, one or the other, slow down or change direction. Okay, basically if you're on the brakes and you try and maneuver, there's more chance, you know, the back's going to come out, you're going to get sideways. Not good, especially if you've got the roof loaded. If you're coming up to a big black cow and you hit the brakes and try and dodge it, you're going to hit it sideways. So when you hit it, there's a good possibility you'll end up sideways and possibly even roll the vehicle over the cow. So if you're going to hit something, you want to hit it straight, unfortunately. You know, if you're going to hit it, you're going to hit it. You want to be straight at that time. So what you might do, depending on the circumstances, the traction conditions, which is good to know, take note, what pressures you're on. Look, to be quite honest, I muck around a bit on the roads to see what the vehicle's going to do, because you're better off to find out when you can test the vehicle in safe. And I'm not saying everyone should start driving around like maniacs and get it sideways, because you could get yourself in trouble. And if you're not confident doing that, then maybe outback driving, you know, isn't for you. Like, we'll get up on this loose stuff and we'll do some maneuvers like that, you know, we'll get it, you know, there you go, you like that, a bit of that. And the traction, the vehicle stability control and everything did kick in and start doing some stuff, so we can even turn that off and do that. But I'm not suggesting, you know, you can see the road's clear, there's no one behind us, there's no one trying to get past, there's only our convoy ahead of us. And well, you know, you should probably do some driver training, right? And this is probably something they don't show you, right? Because if you're on this loose stuff like where I am now, and you go, oh, I'm gonna, you know, things, you know, in this case we're pretty good. Like I said, we're pretty good, you know, here. So if you don't go for the hard turn straight away, you can just slowly just make little adjustments and just see what's going to happen. Remember momentum. This isn't driver training, right? So, you know, don't try and learn how to drive from this, but momentum. You've got a momentum, you're headed in this direction. So when you turn, the vehicle doesn't want to go that way. So you need traction to be able to change that direction. It needs to happen slowly. So big black cow jumps out, your best bet is most likely to just anchor up. That's put the brakes on, and you don't panic and stab the brakes and let the ABS do all the work, because what happens then is, generally if you can drive, you should be better than the ABS, okay? So, or the whatever anti-lock braking system, whatever, you know, vehicle stability control, or whatever it is, right? Whatever you want to call it, whatever vehicle it is, whatever year it is, you should be able to brake better. So braking, in my opinion, is probably usually the best option. Then once you get down to a speed, you may be able to then change from braking. You don't want to keep braking and try and maneuver. So on the brakes, off the brakes, steer, and then maybe on the, whatever. It's one or the other type thing. We're not going to demonstrate. We already demonstrated a few crazy fishtails. We can do more of that. I'm sure some people will love it. I'm sure some people will be going, oh, you know, oh, I don't. But that is how you get to learn how the vehicle, what it's going to do. So in an emergency, you know, we'll call it Ant's driver training, right? Don't do it. You know, Ant's training himself, driver training, you know, not training anyone else. No accreditation, no driving skills whatsoever. But that's how you learn what's going to happen. Now, it's always best to stay in the middle of the track if you can. Obviously, always. The other really important thing is giving way, and that is, it is very, on a day like today, with this amount of dust and no wind, so we're well back. I don't know if we're a couple of k's back from the vehicle in front of us, but there's no hope anyone's coming from behind us at the moment to come past, right? Even though we're doing a lousy 70 k's or something at the moment, it's fine, right? So we're just cruising, no dramas. We'd normally be getting along a bit. On certain sections, your speed varies. You know, you'll come to this bend, you're not going to be doing 100 k's around this bend, you can't see around it, it's loose, you know, out on this loose gravel, you know, whatever the case may be. Again, we're testing it out, yeah, you know. So what happens is, generally, this is in a Prado, generally you get what's called oversteer. You don't generally get understeer. When you're going, probably if you went over here on this loose stuff, man, maybe we could get some, I don't know, let's see. Yeah, no, it's oversteer again. It was definitely oversteer. So, anyway, be careful if you think you're going to go out and start testing out your vehicle, what you can do. If you're not a good driver, then you probably shouldn't do that. You should stick to official driver training. But if you're a pretty good driver and you've got the right roads where you can just go, I'd rather sort of see what it's going to do, then that's up to you. There's nothing illegal about, you know, bit of driver training, you know. It's not dangerous if nobody's around, but that's your call, okay? What else? That's it. If the road's wet, you know, usually staying in the middle is usually the go, because it's a high spot. But on this road right here, I can see the low spots right in the middle where my right tyre is now, and that's why I see on the right there, all that wet, and that's where it runs off to the right there. So every road varies, but generally you want to stay on the high ground. Sometimes when people go to the sides to try and dodge something, that's where they get into trouble, because it's soft and mushy. The middle will be better packed. It's where everyone's been driving. Anyway, that's a video. That's a bit of outback driving with a few bits of tips and information. Caution warning, don't do what I do. Don't, you know, make crazy maneuvers on loose dirt roads. You could end up rolling your vehicle, or even worse, and someone could get seriously injured or killed. So don't do that. I suggest you, if you haven't got the confidence, you need to go and get some official driver training. And I don't know where to go and who would teach you anything that's reliable anyway. So good luck with that. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully it wasn't too boring for you. This is some of the outback roads in South Australia. I'll tell you, we're heading, well, we're not heading north, we're heading northwest. We're heading sort of west right at the moment. We're about to swing back around to the northwest, north of Mount Ive Station in South Australia. Thanks for watching, guys. If you haven't already, subscribe, turn the bell on. We'll have better videos than this. Just trying to help you out and get you thinking. One last thing I'm going to say is, yeah, if you have got someone in your right-hand rear view mirror, or you suspect you see some lights, as soon as you see it, they've probably been there a long time and losing their patience. Slow down, move to the left or pull over and just let them pass, because otherwise they're probably going to be coming past anyway, and yeah, you want to get sprayed in rocks, so you're going to make it hard for them and then end up with some damage yourself. So please think about giving way where possible. If you're traveling slower, you're towing, possibly pull over every now and then and let whatever may be there pass. And if your engine's off and it's dead silent, you can't hear anything, good time to get going again. That's it. See, I never stop talking, do I? Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.